Hello and welcome to the CAGED Canary podcast. I'm your host, Mahdi Gilbert, here at Before Magic. And today I wanted to talk about the word magician, what it is, why you need to use it, why you need to take control of that language. And I want to start this by sharing a story, and it's a sad story for me personally. One of my I wouldn't say mentors, but one of the magicians who I really look up to came to my hometown of Toronto years and years ago to do a lecture. And he refused to call himself a magician. And to his clients, to the public. And I asked him why. And he said, the term magician has such a bad stigma that I don't want to use it because it's not good for me professionally. And I thought, wow, what a sad thing. Imagine a name of what you do being so lowered in the public consciousness that you don't want to use it. And so you see a lot of these people, they don't want to call themselves magicians. They call themselves, I'm not a magician, I'm an illusionist, or I'm a deception artist, or I'm a mystifier, I'm a deceptionist, I'm a mystical artist, I'm a deceiver, I'm a trickster. I'm a psychological illusionist. I'm a deceptive artist. I play with people's senses of reality. I'm a manipulator of reality. You see these people use these terms, and to be quite honest, I get it. I understand branding. I understand using terms, using language, and making yourself different in your field through the use of language. And I totally applaud that for people who want to do that and who have a good purpose to do it and who have really thought it out and have something that sounds nice and reads well. Go ahead and do that. I applaud you. But unfortunately, that is not what happens most of the time. Most of the time, people don't want to be called a magician because there's a stigma around the word magician. And it's happened to me, I'm sure it's happened to you, it's happened to a lot of people. When you tell people that you work professionally as a magician, there's all of a sudden, ooh, you're a magician, okay. And the first thing that comes to their mind is that you're working birthday parties and you're like a clown or something. And I totally understand that, and nothing against people who work birthday parties. I know a lot of great magicians who have worked birthday parties and who work birthday parties. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's just this idea where it's like, oh, you're a magician. You're just a local guy who, does you're like a local children's entertainer, a guy who's listed in the phone book who'll come out and do a party for $50. That's sort of what they think when they hear the word magician. And then they don't realize you're like, a superstar, you're traveling the world, you're doing magic for, CEOs of major companies, and you're, doing corporate events and, festivals all over the world, you're doing TV shows, you're doing, all sorts of crazy stuff. They don't realize that. But as soon as they do, then it changes. It's like, oh wow, this guy's a magician. And so that's what it is. There's different tiers of magicians. But for you as a magician, you need to control what that meaning of magician is. And for me, I started using Mahdi the Magician a few years ago. And it was really because of one of my friends. I was a big fan of different people throughout history who used different terms. I said, I don't know am I going to use a stage name? I was going to use Mahdi Buchinger. Mahdi Buchinger, I think, is a pretty good stage name, to be honest. But it's a little bit of a weird stage name. I think it could have worked. But, And that's the thing. Another thing with your names, I'll do a whole thing on names. You can change your name at any time. But I was sort of stuck. Not stuck, I'm not stuck. But I was using my real name for so many stuff. Mahdi Gilbert, I was listed as Mahdi Gilbert. And a lot of people know me by that name. But I wanted to make it very distinct what I was doing with this business, with this thing that I'm doing, which is magic. And one of my friends, we were talking about different stage names, and he suggested to me to use Mahdi the Magician, just like Malini the Magician. And honestly, at first I really liked it, and then I didn't like it, and then I liked it, I didn't like it, and I sort of went back and forth, and then I just committed. I took the plunge. I did my deck of cards, which says Mahdi the Magician. I changed all my social media to Mahdi the Magician. Some of them, unfortunately, I can't use Mahdi the Magician because Mahdi the Magician is too long, so I had to use, Mahdi Gilbert or something else. But I started using Mahdi the Magician, and right away it just felt right when I started using it, and I started having the branding, and the branding really made it work for me, and it gave me a lot of control over who I was and what that perception of me was, where it's like people don't, there's no, I'm many things in real life, I'm many things, nobody's just defined by one area of their life, but for clients, for, whatever, I do have that Mahdi the Magician. And that was a big thing for me, to make it professional through my logo, through my website, through the different branding tools that I have, my deck of cards. You can really see that it's an adult brand. And what I mean by adult is it's not that it's, violent or, anything that has, some sort of a content warning on it. What I mean by adult is that it's mature, it's professional, it's businesslike. So that was me taking what people generally saw as juvenile, Bob the Magician, Michael the Magician, and they just think it's like a clowny thing, like it's not a serious thing. That was me taking it and really giving it that esteem, putting the esteem back into the art, and that it really kind of represents what I try to do and what I care about, elevating magic and elevating both the magic, the magic, the art of magic, and the magician. And that is what I am about, elevating. So for me, it made sense to go that route, and once I started doing it, it just made sense. And it was a great thing seeing that I was influencing people. I believe I was influencing people. I've seen a lot of people pop up now with social media handles. I never saw this before, but they're using their first name and then the magician, or the mentalist, or the mind reader, the fortune teller, the whatever, and they're using their title. And this is just about elevating your field and making it respectable, distinguishing yourself. I always look at a guy like Max Malini, who, incredible magician. I love Malini. I love Malini. Malini used the name Malini the Magician. Malini the Magician. You can see it on a lot of posters, business card. And people knew his name was Max Malini. People called him Max Malini, but it's like when people talk about Max Malini, yeah, maybe they use Max Malini the Magician, but Malini they're using it, and they are not afraid to use it. Would you ever say David Copperfield the Magician? I don't think so. David Copperfield has really used, I believe, the term illusionist throughout his career. It makes sense to say David Copperfield illusionist, world famous illusionist, world famous rather than world famous magician. You could use magician obviously for David Copperfield, but it just feels better to use illusionist. So again, and that's a whole other discussion. Whether you should use illusionist if you're using bigger effects in your show. I don't think that's the case, but it's all just about controlling the language. You don't need to run away from the terms magician. And to go back to my friend who I was very sad, great magician, who he didn't even want to tell people he did magic. If you would ever, this guy creates some of the most beautiful and iconic magic you've ever seen. Literally a genius of magic. Other people who are closer to him than me have told me that he's the greatest living magician. I don't know if that's true, but I respect people's opinions. Certain people, if somebody tells me that and I respect them, I'm going to be like, okay, I don't know if that's true, but this is what this guy is saying. He's saying this guy's the best magician alive. I don't know. But, it might be true. And they're afraid to use the term magic. They're not afraid. I don't want to say afraid, but they don't want to use it. They're afraid. They're afraid. But seeing this guy and present his magic, he didn't want to use the term magic. He wanted to use effect. Look at this beautiful presentation. He didn't want to use the term magician. And I just thought it was very sad. I thought it was very sad. But again, he's entitled to his own opinion. I have different influences. I have my own conception of magic. I have my own vision of what magic was, what magic can be, and what magic should be, what I want my magic to be, and what I want that perception to be in between me and my audience. So for me, I use the term magician, and I enjoy using it. I don't find that it affects me negatively because it's been presented as a developed thing. It's an adult thing. It's a professional thing. It's not a childish thing. It's not a juvenile thing. It's not an unprofessional thing. And that is really just me becoming that master of the language. And really, that's what it is. Language itself does not mean anything. You can take any word and have any meaning. You can make a word taboo. You can stigmatize any word. You can elevate any word. For people who study language, you know that this is true. And in magic, we need to be in control of the words. You look at the word trick. It's a dirty word. Even magicians don't want to use the word trick. I don't even like using the word trick. Check out this trick. For my next trick. It sounds cheesy. I don't like it. But is there a way that could be elevated? Absolutely. Could that be elevated? Absolutely. Am I going to be the one who elevates the word trick? I don't know. It's not really one of my goals, but I'm just talking about that over-encompassing idea of the language. And for me, magician was a word that I wanted to use. And I because I was influenced by these guys, I was afraid of using the magician. I would see. You tell people you're a magician, you see the reaction. It's not a good reaction a lot of the times. Because people don't know any better. As soon as they know who you are, what you do, as soon as they see you do magic, it's a totally different thing. They think you're like awesome. They love magic. But most people don't know enough about magic to really love and respect it because they haven't interfaced with it in any meaningful or profound way. So this is what we need to do. We need to understand what these words mean, give them new meanings, elevate their meanings, and present them in front of the public and not hide behind made-up words and other terms. Of course, you can use any term that you want to describe who you are and what you do, but don't be afraid to use the word magic. Don't be afraid to use the word magician. that name, that title. It should be a respected title, and that is something that I strive to do in my life, in my work, and I don't see enough of it. I understand why. I understand why. It's not worth the fight for most people. Most people are focused on different things. I have a different approach, though. My approach encompasses a wide spectrum. I analyze things. I see a lot of things. I'm constantly taking in feedback and knowledge, and for me, it's important. I don't know why it's important, but it's important. It's important the language people use. It's important what people call me, what I'm seen as by the public. I want them to know I'm a magician. I want them to love that word magician. I want people to love magic. I want them to love that word magician. When people hear that you're a magician, or if somebody comes into the room, there's a magician performing at a party or an event, I don't want people to be like, oh, it's a magician. I want them to be like, oh, it's a magician. Let's, come on everybody, let's go. They just, rush off and see that magician because they know it's going to be awesome. And it's like, oh, this is like a powerful wizard. It's like when Gandalf comes into the Shire and it's like, oh my God, everybody, the wizard is here. The wizard, comes into the town and everybody is super excited, and it's a great time. It's a great, profound event. That's what people should feel when they hear there's a magician. There's a magician. They should be excited. It should be a wondrous thing. It shouldn't be like, oh, there's a magician. Call the kids over. The kids will like this. Call the kids over. There's a magician. It's like, oh, there's a face painter. Oh, there's a mime. And those are all art forms that are respected, and they're doing their own thing. I can't speak negatively about them, but a lot of these fields just have this negative connotations, these titles. So it's up to us to understand that is what the case is. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're up against. That's what decades and decades of denigration of magic has done. People ruining magic. I won't get into that negativity, but that's what decades and pretty much centuries of bad magicians, but more decades than centuries, has done in terms of bad magic and its impact in the public perception of magic. So that's what the situation is. All I'm doing is acknowledging it, and I want to tackle it in my own way. So that's what I'm doing through my use of the language, and that's what I encourage everybody else to look at and to use. So that's why I would say to everybody, use the term magician. Look at it closely, study it. Why are people using this language? Why are they afraid of not using this other language? And really just use whatever you want. Ultimately, use whatever you want, but be proud. Be proud of what you do. Be proud of who you are, and don't let other people who have hijacked your art form drag it into the mud. Don't let them do that. Take control of it. And even me, I'm using the term now. I don't even say I say magician, but now more and more I'm using the term real magician, because it's like a higher level of separation when you use the term real magician, because then everybody knows, okay, there's fake magicians, there's like lesser magicians, but then there's like real magicians. So that's another power play, and it's not like it's not a power play of crushing people or putting people down. It's just, this is a battlefield, and this language has been so weaponized. We have to fight and take it back, and put power into it. Put power into those terms again. Make them respected. Make them, wonderful. Make them wonderful titles. That's all. That's all I want to say. As always, I want to thank you for watching this. If you made it to the end, if you guys do find this useful, please use the term magician. If that's who you are, if that's what you want to do, if you want to do magic, use that term. Don't be afraid of it. And if you like this, please like it, share it with your friends. And if you need to rewatch it, if you need to re-listen to it once a week, twice a week, re-listen to it every single day. If you want to use the term magician, you're afraid of using it, and you're afraid of what your clients might think, what people might think, and you're just afraid of that negative connotation, just listen to what I'm telling you. Please just listen to it, take it to heart, and start using it. We can elevate that term. That's what I'm working so hard to do. And please look at the work that I've done and realize that it is possible, that we don't have to submit to hiding what we do and changing our names and coming up with funny titles for what we do. I'm a mystifier, I'm a trickster, that's all fun. If that's your branding, if that's what you want to do, but you shouldn't be doing this because you're running away from magic, you're running away from being a magician. Don't run away, please do not run away, and don't ever be ashamed of doing magic or being a magician. It's not a shameful thing. It's one of the most powerful and beautiful art forms in this world. I can go through the magicians, I can show you the videos and take you to the shows of some of the most wonderful artists who have ever lived, who have called themselves magicians and who perform magic. Please use the title. Don't be afraid of it. If that's what you are, if that's who you are, take that path and fight for it. Fight for the language and really own it. Own the language. Don't let other people tell you who you are and what it is that you do and decide what magic is. It's not up for people to decide what magic is. I decide what magic is. You decide what magic is. You decide what it is that you do. Let's not run away from magic and from being magicians. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and hopefully I'm hearing from many of you soon that you are using it and you're not afraid. That would be a beautiful thing. I think that would be such a beautiful thing. I think it would be beautiful. Let me know. Have a great one. Bye.